With all the twists and turns that this year's playoffs has offered us so far, I must say, this has been the most exciting postseason in recent years. I think after the Denver series, we all expected OKC to make the finals, but the Pacers shocked most of us and made it to the end. Who cares that both small market teams? This is elite offense versus elite defense, the tested theory of defense wins championships. The Thunder have made it clear that defense is their top priority on the court. They continue to lead the league in major defensive stats like defensive rating, opponent field goal percentage, and points allowed in the paint. OKC is starting to receive a lot of criticism for their hacking defense in the playoffs, but I think fans are missing the beauty of it. Upping your aggression on defense is a strategy teams use to deny the ball from certain players and crowd dribbling space to make court navigation uncomfortable. The Thunder are able to use their physicality in a calculated manner on defense due to their well-constructed roster of athletes with high IQs and long wingspans. Dominating the West during the regular season and tallying up 68 wins, it was time for the first test of the postseason, round 1 versus the Memphis Grizzlies. If you were expecting to witness the offensive greatness of SGA, you might want to skip this series. I labeled this series as the much-needed surprise due to OKC's role players taking over and essentially being the reason why they were able to sweep the Grizzlies. We all knew how great OKC's role players were when everything was clicking, but this series proved that they can step up in the biggest moments too and secure victory. Game 3 of this series was the most important one. Everything was going perfect for the Grizzlies until Ja gets injured and he's out for the game. They were still up 77-51 after the half, but the momentum was about to take a huge swing. OKC ended up outscoring Memphis 74-41 in the second half, with Chet scoring 23 of his 24 points during this time. Being down 29 points and still playing your brand of basketball requires next level mental toughness and teammate chemistry that this very young team continues to display. After sweeping the Grizzlies, I believe the second round was a true test of this young team's heart. Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets just outlasted the Clippers in a 7-game series and were looking to extend their playoff run. Fans were excited to witness a battle for MVP between two of the brightest stars in the West. Ultimately, the series will be determined by death as the role players for both teams came up big in different scenarios. Game 7 of this series was crucial after OKC failed its chance to close it out on the road in Game 6. This was the game where a simple yet risky defensive adjustment extended their postseason brilliance. Alex Caruso was assigned to be glued to Jokic all night and make him as uncomfortable as possible. Jokic was held to just 20 points and he ended up with 5 turnovers. It was no doubt that Caruso was the MVP of this game, as his energy on defense allowed the offense to flow smoothly. After surviving the hell that Denver had put them through, I truly feel like this team's confidence level was the highest it's ever been. Next up were the Minnesota Timberwolves, a great defensive team with the Kingslayer and Edwards leading the way. With the Thunder just winning a big series and SJ being named league MVP, I feel like the Thunder were just on a whole nother level mentally by this point. Game 4 required a much needed response from OKC after getting blown out by 40 in Game 3. They weren't aggressive or connected on defense and they completely shit the bed on offense. I have to give credit to Minnesota though, because they played a complete game on both ends for 48 minutes and completely demoralized the Thunder. OKC proved again that they have the mental toughness to bounce back from anything as they secured a close win in Game 4. Even though SGA and J-Dub were taking over most of the scoring load, they still needed contributions from all their role players to outlast the dominance of the Timberwolves bench scoring. As annoying as it was to watch OKC play the foul game in the clutch, they did what they had to do to secure a much needed win. If it isn't clear by now, the Thunder's greatest strength is their tenacious defense. Their goal each and every night is to be as disruptive as possible on that end so that the opposing team has a hard time getting in the rhythm. They're averaging 24 points off turnovers per game, as their goal is to turn the physical defense into easy transition buckets. They also love to attack from the mid-range and in the paint for higher percentage scoring and less predictability. This team has very few weaknesses, but if you can exploit them, it causes a lot of chaos amongst the team. Ball movement is critical because too much standing around will lead to heavy defensive pressure or even traps. Also, you must be decisive and intentional when facing physical defense to make the right plays and possibly get one of the defenders in foul trouble. Clogging up as much space as possible inside the arc against this team will force them to shoot more threes, where they are only 33% accurate this postseason. The Pacers have fully embraced their culture and adopted a fast-paced play style that's been running opponents off the court. They've had the highest rated offense since eliminating the Cavs, and they averaged the most points in transition during the postseason. Most people feel like the Thunder are going to run right through the Pacers for an easy championship, but I'd advise you to think again. This Pacers team were essentially underdogs, but have managed to eliminate the biggest teams in the East. They showed just as much heart as OKC has so far in this postseason by keeping victory in mind even when it appears to be out of reach. This team will have no trouble running you out of the gym if you aren't playing to your full potential. The first 25 games for Indiana were a struggle, as they went 10-15 due to injuries. When they got healthy, they were seeing valuable contributions from starters and role players that led to them finishing 4th in the East with a 50-32 record. They were matched up with the 5th-seeded Milwaukee Bucks led by the dominant Giannis Antetokounmpo for their first round matchup. Game 5 gave Indy the chance to send the Bucks home, but it wasn't going to be a walk in the park. The Bucks came out hot and went on a 30-13 run in the first quarter. The Pacers' inside-out attack allowed them to go on their own 12-2 run to close up the half and make this a close game. The second half was so evenly matched between both teams that overtime was needed. Gary Trent Jr. evolved into prime Klay Thompson after knocking down 4 threes in OT, but it just wasn't enough. Down 7 with 30 seconds left, Nembhard drains a deep 3 to cut it to 4, and this activates the classic Pacers trap card. After that, Halliburton finished a tough and one layup to cut it to 1, then offered the Trent Jr. turnover, sent the Bucks home with the goodnight layup. After the game, John Halliburton and Giannis were exchanging words, but thank God for security because Giannis could have folded this man like a pretzel. Their next challenge will be the number 1 team in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. This series would test both teams to see if they were serious threats or frauds. Game 2 was extremely pivotal in this series as it put immense pressure on the Cavs. Even though they were missing Garland, Hunter, and Mobley, Mitchell put on a 48-point masterclass and the Cavs were playing great until there were 46 seconds left in the game. Neesmith almost ended Mitchell's career off of a putback dunk from a missed free throw by Siakam. After scoring an easy layup, the Pacers are able to then get the offensive rebound from a missed free throw to set up the game-winning 3 by Halliburton. The Pacers stole the Cavs' home court advantage and demoralized them early into the series. Last but not least, the New York Knicks were the last opponent on the road to their finals. The Knicks spent time and resources to build a team that could defeat the Celtics. I'm not sure they even had Indiana on their radar, but this series was crucial nonetheless. Game 2 of this series was important as well because the Pacers managed to steal home court advantage again. This put a lot of pressure on the Knicks to play catch up and try to make this series as competitive as possible. I believe that whichever team has the most points off turnovers or fast break points each game will be the next NBA champion. Taking care of the ball will be the most important skill and should be the focal point of both teams. Both teams are also capable of winning big games on the road, so taking care of home court advantage will be top priority as well. OKC pulled off a 29-point comeback versus Memphis, won a pivotal Game 4 in Denver, and bounced back in Game 4 versus Minnesota after losing by 40 in the previous game, all on the road. Indy stole home court advantage from the top teams in the East in back-to-back playoff series. If I had to put my bank account on the line, I would put my money on the Thunder winning the championship in 6 games. By no means am I sleeping on this Pacers team. I believe OKC's lockdown defense will prevail in this series. I have a feeling that both teams will steal a game on the road, but I believe the Thunder will get the most important road win in Game 6 to close out the series.